Let's talk about our chapter 4, carbohydrates. This is a really big chapter and very important. This chapter and the next chapter, which is about proteins, are really important in sport nutrition. So, in this chapter, we are going to talk about the basics of carbohydrates. What are the carbohydrates? What's the chemical compositions of carbohydrates? We will discuss digestion and absorption of carbs, and we will talk about the metabolism of glucose, what's the glycogen, and the recommendations for athletes. And also we will talk about the daily carbohydrate needs of an athlete. So let's do some introduction on carbs here. As you know, carbohydrates, CHO, which stands for carbohydrates, it indicates the chemical structure of carbs are consisting of carbon atoms, hydrogen atoms, and oxygen atoms. Um, and in foods, like we have sugars, which also refer to simple carbs or mono or disaccharides. We have starches, which are polysaccharides. And we have cellulose, which is found in plants and in not in animal derived food sources. So, like, these are the basics of carbs, and I know you already know this, so we are not going to dive into detail about this. So we can get carbs in different food items, including bread, cereals, pastas, beans, fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts, milk, and other dairy products. And the carbs are the primary energy source, specifically in moderate to intense high intensity exercise or physical activities. We predominantly use glucose or glycogen as the primary energy source in moderate to high intensity physical activities. And it provides 4 kilocalorie per gram of glucose. That's the amount of energy our body provides for us from glucose. And the goal, the DRI, the recommendations for carbs, we should get 45 to 65% of total calories from carbs. This is in general population, healthy and general population. We have starchy foods. These foods are providing energy, fiber, cellulose. Cellulose, like as I mentioned, we just found in plants, and it's like it acts as an energy source for the gut bacteria. And from starchy foods, we also can get vitamins and minerals. So this is our knowledge check, which is kind of reminding you of carbs. Carbohydrates are found in the body predominantly in the form of, which is mostly in the blood, and the storage form of, which is predominantly in muscle and liver tissue. So carbohydrates are found in the body in the form of glucose, and the storage form of glucose is glycogen, which is predominantly found in muscle and liver tissues. So we can categorize carbohydrates in different ways, and there is no only one or right way to categorize carbohydrates. So based on their chemical structures, we can categorize carbs into monosaccharides, disaccharides or disaccharides, and polysaccharides. So these are the main three types of monosaccharides. And when we say monosaccharides means just one simple molecule of carbohydrate. Mono means one. Saccharide means carbohydrate. So we have glucose, galactose, and fructose. Remember, we have more than these. We have more than three monosaccharides, but these are the main ones. These are the very important ones. These are the ones can be found in foods. These are the ones we get from food, and they are going under digestion and absorption and metabolism in our body. So from these chemical structures, remember all of these monosaccharides has 6 carbons. They have 12 hydrogen atoms and 6 oxygen atoms. And these are there is a like a slight difference in the chemical structure of these monosaccharides. You don't need to memorize these structures. And here are the characteristics of these monosaccharides. So sweetness for glucose is 75 out of 100. Fructose is 170. So fructose is the most sweetness of all carbs and monosaccharides. We have also glycemic index. We will talk about that later in this chapter. And for the glucose, remember this. Sometimes it's called dextrose. So in pharmacy, in medicine, glucose is referred to as dextrose, which is just like glucose. And the galactose found in food only as part of lactose. So we don't get galactose uh, so often through food. It's rare. It is rare in food sources. So dextrose is glucose. So we have disaccharides or disaccharides. These are the combination of two monosaccharides. So if we combine two different monosaccharides, we will get disaccharides. So we have sucrose, lactose, and maltose. Again, these are the important disaccharides. We have more than these, but these are the ones we get through food or we have in our digestive system because of the function of enzymes. We will discuss that later. But remember this from the chemical structure of disaccharides, we have three different types. We have sucrose, which is the combination of glucose and fructose. Lactose is one molecule of galactose and one molecule of glucose, and maltose is two molecules of glucose. This is all you need to remember. And here, just like the characteristics of monosaccharides, we have the characteristics of disaccharides. So sucrose is the most sweetness of all disaccharides. Do you know why? Why is that? Why sucrose is more sweeter than other disaccharides? Yes, because it has fructose. So fructose was more sweeter than other monosaccharides. And since we have fructose in the chemical structure of sucrose, so we can conclude that sucrose is more sweeter than other types. And we have the food sources. Maltose is rare in our diet, which is the combination of glucose and uh, glucose, like two molecules of glucose. Maltose is rare in our diet. Lactose is milk sugar, and the sucrose we get sucrose from fruits, vegetables, honey, maple syrup, and like added sugars. We have high fructose corn syrup, those stuff, or table sugar is sucrose. So maltose produced during fermentation, and it's used in Asian cooking. And the fermentation, when we say fermentation, it is the process of breaking down of a substance into a simpler one by a microorganism. It's referred to fermentation. For instance, we have the production of alcohol from sugar by yeast. That's also a fermentation process. We have polysaccharides. These are also referred to as complex carbohydrates. So mono and disaccharides, you might see those terms as like simple carbohydrates in textbooks. And the polysaccharides are complex carbohydrates. So here we have the chemical structure of a glycogen. And each of these things we see in the chemical structure of glycogen is a one molecule of glucose. So these like six-sided shapes, each one of those is one molecule of glucose. And as you can see, glycogen is highly branched. It's not just straight chains of glucose. So polysaccharides are chains of glucose. We have starch, we have fiber, we have glycogen. These are the important polysaccharides. Starch also is consists of two types. The straight chains of starch is called amylose, and the branched chains are called amylopectin. But remember, even though starch can be branched, but glycogen is highly branched compared to starch. So glycogen, those are the chains of glucose that are highly branched. So these are the three main types of polysaccharides. We have starch, fiber, and glycogen. Glycogen is not a food source. We don't eat glycogen, and it degrades rapidly. So we don't get glycogen through food. Only polysaccharides we get through food is starch and fiber. These are the different like different food sources. We get starch from different food types and food items. We have grains, including wheat, corn, rice, rye, oats, barley, or we also have like processed grains, bread, pasta, and cereals. These are processed grains. These are providing starch. We have legumes or beans, lentils, split peas, soybeans, kidney beans, white beans, pink beans. These are also provide starch. We have starchy vegetables, white or sweet potatoes and yams. So we get starch from a wide range of food sources. And we have dietary fiber. Fiber, when we say dietary fibers, these are the fibers that are found naturally in food, in grains, fruits, vegetables. Remember this, fiber can be categorized into dietary fiber and functional fiber. So dietary fiber, these are the fibers that are occurring naturally in food. Like we can get fiber from seeds, legumes, vegetables, starchy vegetables, and grains. And also remember this, whole grains, these are contain like whole grains contain endosperm, germ, and bran, and have more fiber than highly refined grains. So refinement of grains, we lose like bran and germ. So because of that refinement, we lose the majority of fiber. So, for example, we have white bread, which is a refined bread. So the refined bread has less fiber compared to whole bread. And these are the different parts of a grain. So we have endosperm, it's the tissue that surrounds and nourishes the embryo inside the plant seed. We have germ, the embryo of the plant seed, and the bran, which is the husk of the cereal grain. And in the process of refining, the bran and the germ are removed. So we have only endosperm. And that's why we lose fiber and some vitamins and minerals from the process of refining. We have added fibers. These are also called functional fibers. So remember, we had dietary fiber and functional fibers. So functional fibers are added fibers. These are like the fibers that are added to some processed foods. For example, if we add cellulose or pectin to a food item, these are functional fibers. Functional fibers are isolated and extracted from natural food sources and added to processed foods to increase fiber content of that food item. And also we have fiber supplements. Fiber supplements are also part of a functional fiber. So we have like again pectin, cellulose, or psyllium. These are fiber supplements. We also have sugar alcohols. These are formed from mono and disaccharides. Sugar alcohols are less sweet and they have fewer energy and kilocalories. Sometimes they have zero, but sugar alcohols, these are also called as nutritive alternative sweeteners. And when we say nutritive alternative sweeteners, it means like they provide some energy, but it's less than 4 kilocalorie per gram. So sugar alcohols are also part of the carbohydrates. We can categorize sugar alcohols part of the carbohydrates, but they have less kilocalorie. They provide some like somewhat between zero point 0.2 to zero point 0.6 kilocalorie per gram of sugar alcohols. And we have different types of sugar alcohols. So these are less sweet. They use as sweeteners in food industry. So these are the different types of sugar alcohols. We have glycerol, sorbitol, mannitol, and etc. And these are the energy content of, or we have like xylitol. Xylitol is the sugar alcohol found in chewing gums. And this xylitol, this sugar alcohol, prevent dental caries. So it's very, very interesting. Um, and these are the like energy um, content of different sugar alcohols. So as I said, there is no one way or right way to classify carbohydrates. So there is no single way to classify carbohydrates. Uh, we can we can categorize them as sugars and starches, or simple and complex. So remember, when we say simple, it means mono and di. Saccharides and complex is polysaccharides. We also can categorize carbohydrates as minimally processed versus highly processed. Good versus bad, which I don't recommend this type of grouping of carbohydrates. There is no bad carbohydrate. Remember that. The consumption of high sugar, low fiber foods and beverages may be necessary at times for an athlete because they provide an immediate energy um, for an athlete. In what situations this is the case? So these are the questions we are going to answer throughout this chapter. And also like what type of high sugar, low fiber foods and beverages would you recommend and why? So again, these questions, we will find the answers to these questions throughout the throughout the chapter. So far, before starting to discuss digestion, absorption, and transportation of carbs. So let's have a review and summary of our first part of the chapter. So we discussed the basics of carbs. When we say carbohydrates, they are like carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms. Um, Containing structures or substances. They provide 4 kilocalorie per gram. Um, we can categorize carbs into mono, di, and polysaccharides. Glucose, galactose, and fructose are monosaccharides. Sucrose, lactose, and we have maltose. Those are our disaccharides, and we have starch, fiber, and glycogen as polysaccharides. Maltose is rare in food, galactose is rare in food, glycogen is rare in food. So what we get through food are glucose, fructose, lactose, and we also get starch and fiber. So these are the important um, like bullet points of carbohydrate. Next, we will discuss the digestion, absorption, and also we will discuss some other aspects of carbohydrates.